So as a new grad, there's always this common misconception saying, don't go into psych because you're gonna lose all of your skills. But on the other hand, I feel like I have a solid justification why you should consider becoming a Psych RN as a new grad. In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 5 reasons why you should consider becoming a Psych RN as a new grad registered nurse. So stay tuned. Welcome back, Psych Dude family. It's good seeing each and every one of you guys today. So, you probably clicked this video wondering, why should I consider psych nursing as a new grad? And honestly, it's definitely something I heard throughout school is don't become a psych nurse right away. But in my opinion, I felt it was beneficial for me. So I became when I was a new grad, I went into psychiatric nursing, and honestly I saw so many different benefits, and I'm so excited to share these benefits with you. But let's wait. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Psych Dude. So let me give you my top 5 reasons why you should consider becoming a Psych RN out of new grad. So stay tuned. So the first reason is you gain so many critical thinking skills. Think about it. There's so many different types of personalities. There's so many different people out there with certain diagnoses, and you have to be able to not necessarily tend to their needs, but you have to be able to use your nursing judgment and have to keep so many different people safe throughout your whole entire shift. Yes, you don't do as many skills as other floors, but you get to use other skills that you learn in school, and you might not have even learned it because we only get 8 weeks of mental health, unfortunately, throughout our program. It definitely improves your critical thinking skills because you have to think on your feet, and you always have to be ready for the next thing that might happen. And I feel like just within psych nursing, you have to be able to utilize all of your critical thinking, the prioritization, the delegation, things like that throughout the nursing process. And within psych nursing is because you never know what's going to happen. Imagine putting someone in seclusion restraints and having to deal with someone that else is agitated. Who are you going to treat first? And who are you going to delegate what to do what, and who to see who? Things like that. And also, depending on which unit you're on, you're gonna have to critically think and manage other nurses. So sometimes when you're the RN, you're probably gonna be an RN for a little bit and then moved up to charge nurse, and you have to be able to manage this group and critically think to see which is the best fit for which patient, and which assignment goes best for which nurse, things like that. And that's a huge thing. So definitely take this into consideration, especially if you are a new grad and you're wanting to go into a field. Definitely take psych into consideration because you definitely get to build your critically thinking skills, and you get to be able to use your critical thinking skills. And the second reason is you get to develop your communication skills. Think about coming straight out of school. A lot of the times you don't necessarily know how to talk to doctors. You don't know how to collaborate. You don't know how to build relationships with different type of people, because let's face it, when you're doing clinicals, yes, you get to talk to patients, but you always have someone behind you that's always going to back you up or step over you. Not necessarily step over you, but step in when they need your help or when you need their help, right? So as a Psych RN, you get to develop these communication skills. You get to talk to patients. You get to collaborate with Psych NP, psychiatrists. You get to collaborate with social workers, therapists, and you get to be in groups. You get to talk to these patients and being able to develop how you communicate with certain people and learn different styles of communication. You talk to someone that's depressed in a different way. You talk to someone that's agitated in a different style. You talk to someone that's anxious in a different way. And I believe that learning all of these types of communication styles, you're going to be able to bring that on whenever you get to another position. Say for example, you find out that psych nursing isn't your thing and you're there for a year, you wanted to experience it, but imagine how much you can learn, how well you can communicate to others, and bringing that to other floors. And for me, when I went from psych nursing to ER nursing, I was able to handle all of that. And as a new grad, that's the hardest part, is being able to delegate, for one, like I said in this first step, and then two is to be able to communicate with doctors. I think that's the scariest thing, especially coming out of school, is you're just scared talking to doctors and asking for things. But when you get that experience and then you develop your communication skills, you're gonna know when to speak up, and you're gonna know exactly which type of communication style you want to be able to voice your opinion to doctors or to patients, things like that. And when you are put into a situation and having to deal with psych patients, and you do move forward, say for example you go to ICU or ER or a med-surg unit, and you deal with an agitated or anxious or depressed person or family, you're able to communicate with them properly and appropriately. So yeah, I think it's a huge plus. So the third reason is you get to learn how to handle agitated patients. So regardless of which situation you're in, regardless whether you're at home, whether you're supermarket, whether you're on an ICU unit, in the ER, labor and delivery, other psych unit, anywhere, you are gonna end up dealing with agitated patients. And it might not be because they're mental health issues. It might be something like just confusion or delirium, things like that. Imagine having to learn and deal with that as a new grad and not necessarily knowing how to deal with an agitated patient, especially when you're in the ER or the ICU. You're just going to be pretty much dumbfounded because it's a scary situation. But when you start in psych, you're able to experience that more often than not. So you're able to understand what ways you can use therapeutic communication, what ways you can talk down someone, what ways you can actually adjust your style of nursing to appropriately manage an agitated patient. And I think it's extremely important, regardless of which career, which floor you're on. It doesn't necessarily matter, is because once you develop those skills and you're able to handle and take care of an agitated patient, then you can pretty much use any of these skills going forward, regardless if you're NP, if you go to be PA, if you go to med school, things like that, and you're going to be able to use this in your career even further. And the fourth reason is you get to provide mental health services to patients in need. I feel like this is probably the biggest one, and I probably should have saved it for the last, but I feel like this is an important one because you get to provide help for patients that are in crisis. If you're working in an inpatient unit, I think it's extremely important that we have nurses that are willing to put forth their effort and to take care of psychiatric patients. And as a new grad, you don't necessarily know where you want to go, and I feel like you have to take psych nursing into consideration because you can learn so much. I think the art form of communicating and the art form of taking care of these patients, it goes so far in this world. And when I went on interviews and when I went throughout this process, by mentioning mental health and that you're helping mental health patients, it puts so much, it helps so much in my job search opportunity, and that I was able to actually use that as leverage for me getting a job over someone else that had no experience or no psych experience or med surg experience, things like that. I got jobs in an ER where they were wanting med surg experience, but I only had psych experience, and they were able to take that and actually apply that, and they actually accepted that because I was able to help mental health patients, and that's what they need in the ER. And they needed a nurse that actually had experience providing mental health services for someone in crises, and I was able to provide that and fill in that gap because, as you know, in ERs, ICUs, regardless, you're always going to deal with psych patients. It's just in a different setting. So being able to provide that extra body that had mental health experience and being able to just apply previous mental health experience towards that job and giving back, which was the ultimate thing I loved about being a PSYCH RN, it helped me gain further knowledge, experience, and put me above a lot of other candidates. And the fifth reason is it gives you psych experience. And if you're following my channel, you're probably interested in either becoming a nurse practitioner, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, or being a PA, and then you want to be a psychiatric physician assistant, things like that. It gives you the experience you need, right? It's one of those things where why go into a field when you don't have the certain experience? And it's going to give you that experience, and it's going to give you experience no matter what. Say for example, your dream job is to work in the ICU or med surg, and they're not taking anyone that has no experience. But now that you become a psych RN, get your year of experience, then they will take you into consideration. Even if psych nursing isn't your thing and you want to use it as a stepping stone, any employer would rather take someone with some experience within nursing and being an RN or even an LVN or LPT. They'd rather take someone with that experience over someone that's coming straight out of school, because they know you know how to communicate with patients. They know you know how to follow the chain of command. They know that you know how to take orders. They know you know how to speak to physicians or psychiatrists, and they know you work as a team. And it's important that you just, even if you don't like psych, definitely take in consideration, because it's gonna put you ahead of someone else that may have no experience. And even other units, they'd rather see that you're able to communicate. And I think that's the biggest thing. Learning communication skills and learning communication styles, it's huge, because if you can't even talk to a doctor or talk to a patient or talk to a family member, how are you going to educate them? How are you going to give them the best of your ability? But now that you've learned those styles and you learn how to communicate, it puts you way above so many different people. And imagine going to an interview and they're asking you, okay, so what's the one thing you learned if you loved learning in psych? The best thing you can say is, I love educating, meaning the communication portion, right? And if you can portray that to the interviewee or interviewer, that you can communicate to anyone, you can communicate to patients, you can communicate with other team members, and you have the ability to communicate with psychiatrists, doctors, MDs, DOs, to family members, and being able to portray your message and communicate what you want to educate about, they're going to automatically think, okay, I have someone good on my hands. Because no, they might not have the skills yet, because they came straight out of new grad into psych and then they didn't go into med surg, but you can always learn those things. It's repetition. It's one of those things where you can always learn as you go, regardless of how many IVs you put in nursing school and you don't do it for a year. You can still learn how to put in an IV. You can still learn how to put in a Foley. You can still learn how to set up an A-line. You can still learn how to do trach care. You can still learn how to do all of these things, because we learned it in a short period of time. But one thing you can't learn is how to communicate. Well, you can learn it, but it takes a little bit longer, and you can't necessarily learn how to communicate with the agitated patient if this is the first time you're seeing the agitated patient. It takes time, like I said, repetition, but I think communication styles you're able to learn, and once you have that, then you'll be able to keep that with you for the rest of your life. And you never know, you might become a psych NP, baby. But yeah, all jokes aside, I honestly think that you definitely should consider becoming a psych RN. I feel like the psych field and the mental health field definitely needs new grads. People always, it sucks when I always hear, oh, should I go into psych nursing? I have a passion for it, but I don't want to lose my skills. You're not going to lose your skills. You were able to learn it the first time, and you can still learn it again. Just definitely do what you gotta do. And if you find out you don't like psych nursing, at least you gain all of those things and you're able to use that going forward. So if you're thinking about becoming a psych RN straight out of new grad, definitely consider it. You should do it. I feel like you should definitely go in. But if you're on the edge or on the fence on whether or not you want to do it, try it out. You never know if you're gonna love it or not, you know? And if you're in another floor, on a med-surg floor, ICU, ER, and you're scared you're still going to lose your skills when you go to a psych unit because you want to become something else, don't be afraid, because you've been doing that for a period of time and you're gonna learn it again. It's like riding a bike. It's once you start doing it over and over again, you're gonna get it. So definitely, we need you guys. We need more psych nurses. And yeah, other than that, that's all I got. As always, guys, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and hopefully we're going to do another giveaway soon, so definitely stay tuned. And I usually post my giveaways on my Instagram at PSYCHDude. Yeah, have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll be coming out with another video. And guys, I just started, like you probably already know, but I started a job at an urgent care that I only worked on Sundays. But I am coming out with another video talking about becoming an urgent care psych NP and what I do, the type of facility, and what type of patients we see. But other than that, have a wonderful day, guys. Bye!